call your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and many blessings this holiday season. Welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West, here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made in, folks. Now, as usual, I give the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made in first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, or maybe some pictures. And then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made in. So let's waste no time. Woo-wee! Jingle jolly! It's suddenly beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Local retailers remain on alert this holiday season. An increase in shopping for the holidays still has local retailers on high alert. Retail stores continue to report thieves as the main force driving them to lose money around this year. Now, this story has been the case for a number of small businesses also, especially local ones. Now, a Youngstown woman is in jail after stealing $4,200 worth of merchandise from a Boardman store. That's why story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2. State dollars for seniors. Trumbull County gets $779,910 for seniors. Now, the Aging Healthy Grant is set to fulfill a variety of needs for county seniors, according to the report. Now, one report by Raymond L. Smith of the Vindicator, published November 27th, explains all of the details in the funds. Now, what got this story in is the fact that Trumbull County was awarded the highest amount available from the Ohio Department of Aging. 86 out of 88 counties applied to receive a piece of the $40 million that's been available. That's why story number 2 made it this week. Story number 3. New mayor, Reddy and Gerard. Wow, it's been a long time. Now, after years under the leadership of James Melfi, Mark Zuppel will become the new mayor of Gerard at the end of December. Now, Zuppel served on Gerard's Board of Education for 16 years. Now, Gerard has made big improvements to the city's appearance in Melfi's run. Now Zuppel will carry the torch now. Now, the city is now currently working on plans to make improvements in the performing arts sector. We'll see how that develops over time. That's why story number 3 made it this week. Story number 4. Water project in Canfield. Canfield trustees approved a third model for bringing water down Turner Road towards Palmyra Road for its water project. This is what they had some, I guess, Youngstown surprised them with some big news. Now, according to the most recent news story, the news update about the project, it appears that there's been some serious planning that's been going on for this project, thus getting this story in. And as it will, I guess I'll just throw it in the still developing pile. That's why story number 4 made it this week, because it's still developing. Big hit. Story number 5. New water line project in Youngstown. A project to replace water lines is projected to cost $4 million. Now, according to one report November 28th by the Vindicator, some of the pipes contain lead. Now, the work is set to start in the spring and will take about 4 to 6 months to complete. 80% of the money is set to come from a federal grant administered by the state, with the city paying for the rest. Now, $350,000, I would have messed that number up, in rescue plan dollars, the rescue plan funds, will also be used for sidewalks and reducing pedestrian hazards. The article succeeds at pointing out every detail in the project. It succeeds at that. So story number 5 made it this week. Story number 6. Giving Mill Creek Park more accountability and oversight. Or should I say granting or teaching or somehow providing Mill Creek Park. Now, accountability and oversight seems to be the main reason why State Rep Lauren McNally has introduced a bill requiring that 4 of the 5 members of the park's board be elected officials. She says she decided to sponsor the legislation after receiving complaints from people on a wide variety of issues regarding the park. Folks, the story is still developing. Everybody goes to the park. A lot of people locally, can't say everybody, but the majority of local residents enjoy going and just taking a small breeze and talking to the animals down at Mill Creek Park. That's why story number 6 also made to the top 2 this week. Story number 7 and the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that made it this week around the holidays. Folks, I have to say that this show probably will point out some strange things that are going on this holiday season. Strange things that you may see happening around you, especially locally. Locally, you may see people doing strange things like beating up their girlfriends severely. And it makes you wonder around this holiday season what people are actually thinking, or is there just people just don't seem to be getting the message that we need some civility, especially around the holidays. Well, trust me, I have more stories to tell about strange things that are happening around this holiday season. Story number 7. Are local families fire safe for the holiday? Now, this is a big question. I really encourage you to take it seriously. After a Boardman man died in a house fire on an Often Avenue Road, or an Often Avenue Street, safety around this time of year has shot back into the headlines. Over the years, the Mahoning Valley has had its fair share of tragic fires and life lost in these fires. Now, that's what got the story in. And what has it trending is the fact that many of these fires could have been prevented. We all remember some years back when some beautiful children lost their life around this time of year because of a house fire. That's why story number 7 also made it to the top this week. Big. Story number 8 and the top local headline and developing news story that made it this week about when we are discussing strange things that happened during the holidays. Like at Mill Creek Park, they're killing deer around this time of year. Ooh. And while I'm running around the park in my Santa hat, I'm wondering which deer is going to ride my sleigh. Ooh. And it's not looking good. Story number 8. Progress in East Palestine. East Palestine, if you're country folks. It appears that there's progress being made in East Palestine. The soil has been removed from the derailment site that took place February 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. Now the talk is about an oily sheen that's been investigated. I guess it's been appearing and is being investigated by the EPA. They're saying that some oily stuff is in East Palestine. Now, air quality also continues to be tested, but overall reports coming in show that the waterways and the condition of the village has been steadily improving. The story is still developing, folks. That's why story rate made to the top this week. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories. So don't you go anywhere. You're in the Mediator. Me, Brian West. I'll be right back.
Tune in and don't forget to subscribe to Method 8 Inc. YouTube channel. You can also watch free public entertainment. And don't forget to show some support by visiting www.method8inc.com by buying something, clicking something, watching something, or just reading something. You can also sponsor a program as well.
What does Method8inc.com Media Center have that I need?
Small prints, event consulting, photography, business consulting, technical consulting, entertainment consulting, fundraising advice, event videography, movies, news, publishing, media, books, entertainment, acting, broadcasting, public relations, access to the visual and performing arts, ink and black ink refills, audio recording, graphic design, theater, minor computer and cell phone repair, and they're located at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. every Monday through Friday. The list goes on and on.
Method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
Oh yeah! And yes, we are chipmunks.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. Folks, this week we are talking about some strange things that are going around, that are happening in the news this holiday season. One of the strangest things I've seen that I caught on videotape was a police chase around Christmas. Oh. The folks had to be driving about 80 miles per hour on no tires, just hubcaps, driving down the highway, getting chased by the police. About 50 officers sprinkling lights. These were not Christmas lights. They were cop lights chasing somebody in a U-Haul around Christmas. Folks, you got to ask yourself, first of all, what are you doing in a U-Haul around Christmas on this freeway getting chased by some cops? Folks, we don't know what has happened over time. But if you go back through history, the history of Christmas, all holy, holly, jolly holidays, you will probably never, outside of OJ, but it wasn't around Christmas, seeing somebody getting chased in a U-Haul during the holiday season. Oh, Lord. Then when the cops rammed him into the bankhead, the man got out and tried to jump 8 feet over the barricade. The cop grabbed him and said, "You better stop it! Stop it right now!" Whew, folks. How do you be a police officer around the holidays? It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Let's waste no time, folks. Everywhere you go, there's somebody driving by me in a U-Haul luxury, getting chased by the police. Let's get to it. Story number 1. A good Black Friday for retailers. Maybe some good news. MasterCard Spending Plus says that the U.S. Black Friday sales rose 2.5%. The piece is in a Reuters report, but what got it in the top 8 is how. How did it get in? Now, after the pandemic, economists have been scratching their heads when it comes to the economy, the economic wave that we've been on throughout this whole thing. Now, the U.S. shopper spent $9.8 billion online during Black Friday this year. Folks, this story is still developing because in all this people saying they're broke, bankruptcies, people spent $9.8 million online. That's what story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2. Real estate gurus are missing the ball on real estate shortages. CNBC says that the looming office space real estate shortage is real. The piece goes on to explain how up to 1/3 of office real estate could be wiped out but remains in high demand. So how is that? Now, we got the story in as how real estate gurus are missing the ball on not only the high demand for housing, low income housing also, but also office space. Folks, this story is still developing because just like where's Waldo, people are wondering, well, where are the real estate investors and why are they not out there trying to meet demands? Probably because they ain't making no money. Tenants can't pay up. They probably trying to evict some people. That's why story number 2 made it this week. Story number 3, the homeless story. NBC News has a piece on America's growing homeless problem. Now, as mayors and city officials scramble to find solutions for their homeless problems, it appears that Governor Newsom of California is pledging $300 million to clean up homeless encampments. Now, the state has gone as far as even providing a study. They provided a study by the state university, by the University of California. Now, they found that 171,000 people across the state were experiencing homelessness. Now, this story remains in top headlines, but it doesn't include the whole United States because, but what the thing is the prices and the inflation. They're trying to see if this is the cause, but this has been happening for some time. They're trying to see what's the continued fact that homelessness remains a problem. Why is that? And why can't it be solved? It's a hard equation. Where's Jesus when you need him? That's why story number 3 made it this week. Churches, somebody, please take care of the homeless. We need it. You see it stand, the story is staying alive. Big headline. Story number 4, the justice system and prisoners. This is a big headline. This show continues to make an impact on the lives of a lot of people, and even those who are incarcerated. I got a letter and from I guess somebody who was tuning into the show. Now, every once in a while, I receive letters like this on what is actually going on in the prison world. You know, they'll contact me and have me just focus on some of their issues. Now, if you did not know, America has an incarceration problem, big one, and many justice officials are taking notice. Now, one story in California explains how a judge is trying to catch kids early by giving them something to do, so catching them early before they end up in the system. Now, I've even spoken to a few people who have been incarcerated and people who have been freed about how they feel and how they, when they get out or even when they're in, they feel obligated to keep the next generation from making the same mistakes. Now, these are positive stories, but there are things that go on in the prison environment that are reported on from different angles. Now, here are 2 referred sites by Jeffrey Shockley. Now, he's somebody who contacted me by mail. Now, he wanted me to cite these sources. So these are 2 sources. You have prisonjournalismproject.org and humansofsanquintin.com. I hope the spelling should be on the screen. And he also sent me some input on, he wanted me to keep the wording on the screen big so people could see it. I was changing some things around, messing with some stuff, just sampling to see how they work out. But I will listen to Jeffrey, and I hope I pronounced those websites right, but they are on the screen. So thanks, Jeffrey, for tuning in, and I hope you guys enjoy watching the show. I'm thankful that I do have people tuning in. I never know who's watching the show. Well, folks, those are our top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that I made this week. I'll be right back with the top 4, so don't you go anywhere. In the media, me, Brian West. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Folks, we are talking about strange things that are happening this holiday season. Here's another one. A war breaks out between Israel and the Palestinian people and Hamas. Hanukkah, Christmas, and they're blowing things up. They may not celebrate these holidays in Israel, but I'm just telling you, this is strange. Killing people around the holidays. Starting wars. Brutal wars at that. I mean, could you imagine driving a Santa's sleigh over Israel and Palestine right now? The holy cities, Mecca and all that, Jerusalem. And everybody's singing all these holy songs. Born King of Israel. You're flying over and one of the elves said, Santa, are you going to stop, drop some toys off the kids in the Holy Land? Hell no, Rudolph. We're going to keep this thing going till the dust settles. I got to make it home to watch Saved by the Bell. And that's where we are. Strange things happen in this holiday season. People could be running away from holiness, folks. Because holiness seems to be on the rough side of the mountain right now. Whew. There is an angel on top of the mountain, singing, hark, the herald angel sings, glory to the newborn King. Woo! My Christmas album will be hitting stores pretty soon. It's going to be called Eat Chicken Wings Instead of Turkey on Christmas, and slap that ham throw it down the bowling alley and hit a strike with that ham sandwich. Folks, let's waste no time. Let's get to it. Story number 5. Strange things going on this holiday. The border is getting the attention of voters, folks. In a chaotic world, countries have an eye on their borders. CNBC reports that Finland will be closing its border with Russia. Now, this show airs a little bit after the story, so they were making that decision when I was checking those reports. Now, the American border with Mexico has also stayed in the headlines. NBC News has an article with the headline stating that voters want control of the border. Now, the article goes on to explain how extreme the measures to meet these demands could go. I mean, the demands to get this border under control. Now, the twist is that 68% of the country feels that immigration is still good for the country, thus making this topic debatable. Now, the article goes on to cite the pros and cons of past President Trump's and current immigration policies under Biden. Now, the article succeeds at getting people to understand how complex this issue is. Folks, the story is still developing. That's story number 5 made in this week. Story number 6. What is universal health care? Folks, medical bills continue to drag people into the pit of debt with the passage of the Affordable Care Act some years back, and the fact that open season, I believe, is still underway, or is probably on its way to an end. I believe it ends in December. Now, healthcare stories are staying in the headlines. Now, Fox has a piece explaining how the U.S. doesn't have universal health care, but some states almost do. Simply put, universal health care coverage is when all people have access to a full range of quality health services that they need, when and where they need them, without financial hardship, according to WHO. That's the WHO website. I'm sure you know, the World Health Organization. Now, the article goes on to mention how the number of uninsured Americans has fallen from 46.5 million in 2010 to about 26 million today. That's a long time. Now, this story is still developing. That's why it's number 6 almost made it to the top 2 this week. Big head. Story number 7 and the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. We are talking about strange things that happen during the holidays. Like, why are you on top of a roof when it's below 30 degrees, patching up the roof with ice on it, arguing with your neighbor's kid about how much noise you making? Strange things that happen around the holidays. Telling her to go put her Christmas lights up. That actually happened to me. That's why I had to mention this week for you. Story number 7. Ooh. A long time ago in a Bethlehem town, the Lord from heaven to earth came down. Yeah, ooh yeah. The King of Kings was born in a manger. Now we can sing like the angels sing. Glory to the highest, baby. Story number 7. The American consumer is saving the economy. That's a fact. Even with people living paycheck to paycheck, the American consumer is spending and keeping the economy going, according to a CNN piece. But there is a but. The business piece ends with a projection that the consumer ride could be about to stop. The article proves that the American consumer needs a break, if anything. It says that even with prices high, consumers are taking a beating. They're taking the beating and paying those high prices without no trouble. No complaints. They're probably complaining, but they probably don't know who to complain to. Thus, keeping the U.S. economy the reality and the relativity of this economy is keeping it relatively strong. Now, the article goes on to explain some harsh stats that could bring the consumer ride to a sudden end. The story is still developing. That's why it's number 7. I was made to the top this week. Big head. Story number 8 and the top international headline and developing news story that made this week, concluding the show with the strangest things that's been happening this holiday season. Here's another one. People arguing over whether Santa Claus is black or white. People arguing whether Jesus was black or white. Folks, the reality is that the color that you are is probably the color that you think or you want your God or your Santa Claus to be. That's why a wise white man and black man once told me a joke. He said, Brian, Jesus is Puerto Rican. I said, what color is Santa Claus? He said, well, Santa Claus is Mexican. Woo-wee! Well, folks, that's what's happening. Strange things going on this holiday season. Story number 8. Americans need more capital and capitalism. One CNBC News headline asks if we can get our credit card debt written off. It's a big question. This report made it in because credit card debt has reached record highs. The piece states that Americans owe more than $1 trillion to credit card companies, which goes on to ask the question of if we can all get credit card debt written off. It's a big question. The article also answers the question as yes, you can get it written off, but it's not that simple because it involves negotiating. Now, the article concludes with solutions for readers to settle their debt and save. I actually got on the phone with one of these debt companies and did my own little conversation, and they have some little loopholes and gimmicks that they use, but they always tell you to stop paying your credit card bills, and then to me that's a no-no, because the credit card companies, they ain't gonna let up on the phone. They gonna be sitting out front of the house, they gonna be sitting on your roof, and on top of that, they gonna be in Santa's sleigh trying to get their money. They will hunt you down in the wars of Israel and Palestine to get their money. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local and international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out doing the research. As usual, I thank all the news outlets, the journalists, the people on the front lines. You deserve all the credit. I am just the man in the middle. If you want to show some support here at Method 8, it does not take much. All you do is visit the website on the screen, visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. You can also, somebody asked me, you can also, if you have stories or references that you want to provide for the show, all you have to do is email or send them to the website or the address on the email address or the store address on the website. Well, folks, I am out of here. My heart goes out to all the children and the families being affected in the wars overseas and in the wars that's been taking place in America. I mean that at the end of the show when I say peace, because right now we need it, especially during this time of year. We're ruining the hopes and the dreams of the future. Well, folks, I'm out of here. I'll be back next week looking at over 200 or more stories just to keep you informed. Remember, stop at the store at 5648 Market Street if you want to show us some support. See my smiling face. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you for tuning to the Mediator. Me, Brian West. Peace.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is